In the cold silence of space, a small alien ship drifted slowly near Earth's orbital station. It had no lights, no engine sound, just silence. But deep inside, behind thick glass and metal walls, a strange girl lay trembling under dim blue lights. Her skin was soft lavender and faint glowing lines moved across her arms like living tattoos. She had long silver-white hair and wore a thin suit torn at the sleeves. Her breathing was weak, and her golden eyes were half closed. She looked like she hadn't eaten or slept for days. The word quarantine blinked red across her chamber door. No one was allowed inside, but today, someone came. Dr. Aiden Marsh, a 32-year-old human biologist, stepped out of the elevator, wearing a heavy protective suit. He had worked with alien species before, but never like this. This was different. She's the last one from her kind who hasn't mutated, the station's AI said softly through his earpiece. Aiden looked through the glass. The girl moved, slightly, as if sensing his presence. Her fingers twitched. She opened her eyes and locked them on his, and in that moment, he didn't see an alien. He saw fear, pain, and something else. Hope. The quarantine logs told a short but horrifying story. The girl had arrived on a diplomatic ship from a distant moon called Nerexa. All 10 passengers were infected with a fast-killing alien virus. Their bodies twisted, mutated, and died within hours. Only she survived. Barely. Aiden stared at her medical readings. Her body was fighting the infection, but barely holding on. No alien medicine had worked, but the AI had found something shocking. Her cells show compatibility with human DNA. With yours, specifically. Aiden froze. What does that mean? The AI paused, then replied, It means you might be the cure, but not through medicine, through reproduction. Aiden blinked. You're joking. I do not joke, the AI said. He entered the observation room, sitting just beyond the thick quarantine glass. He spoke softly into the mic. Can you hear me? The girl slowly turned her head. Her lips were cracked. She nodded once, very slowly. My name is Aiden, I'm here to help. Her voice came through the translator with static. It was soft, weak, but clear. Why, help me? Because I don't want you to die, he said. She stared at him, confused. You are human. We were told. You only help yourselves. Aiden leaned forward. Not all humans are like that. There was silence between them. Only the soft beep of machines filled the air. Then suddenly she started coughing hard. Aiden jumped up, watching red liquid come from her mouth. The AI's voice returned. Her condition is worsening. We must act soon. Later that night, Aiden sat alone in the research lab. He looked at her DNA report again. There it was, clear genetic bonding compatibility. The theory was wild, unreal, but true. If they joined at a biological level, if they mated, her body could absorb his DNA fully. It might give her immune strength. It might save her life. It was risky, strange, but real, and time was running out. But Aiden wasn't a machine. He was human. He couldn't just walk in and do that. She was scared, alone from another world. He couldn't treat her like a science project. He sighed and looked through the glass again. She had fallen asleep, her hand resting near her heart. Her body glowed faintly in the dark, like stars trapped under her skin. I won't force you, Aiden whispered under his breath. But I won't let you die either. Suddenly his communicator buzzed. She's asking to speak with you, the AI said. Aiden stood and returned to the glass. Her golden eyes were wide open now. She sat up, weak but serious. If I do what your kind says, she said slowly, will it hurt? No, Aiden said. I'll make sure it doesn't. But we don't have to do anything you're not ready for. We'll find another way. She tilted her head. There is no time. He looked down. Then she said something that shook him. I dreamed of you before I arrived. A man of warmth, with strange brown eyes, and a sad heart. Aiden's breath caught. What did you say? I saw you, she said again. In my dreams. For the first time since she arrived, Aiden saw her smile. Aiden woke up to a strange glow outside his window. He rubbed his eyes, thinking it was just another blinking light from the station. But when he looked again, he froze. The alien girl was standing outside the glass, barefoot, her long white hair glowing like moonlight, and a strange golden aura floating around her body. She wasn't supposed to be out of her chamber. She wasn't even supposed to be walking. The alarms didn't ring. No emergency alert came. The system remained silent. How did she get out? Aiden whispered, stepping closer. Then the AI responded in a calm voice. Patient Leora requested freedom. Her vitals show stable for the moment. I allowed a monitored release. You what? Aiden's voice rose. She's still infected. She is dying, the AI said. She wanted to feel air one last time. She chose your room. Aiden looked at her through the safety glass. She didn't look weak anymore. She looked calm, but her eyes were full of emotion. She raised her hand and placed it gently against the glass, exactly where Aiden's hand rested on the other side. Aiden rushed to the lab control panel, checking her levels. He couldn't believe it. Her body was actually improving. Slowly but surely, the virus was slowing down. But it wasn't because of any medicine. It was because of him. Later that day, Leora sat beside a table in the clean air lounge. The AI had built a temporary glass wall between them, thin but safe. They could speak freely now. Aiden brought her food, a small fruit native to Earth, and clean water. She looked at the plate, curious. What is this? It's called an apple, Aiden said with a smile. You eat it. Leora tilted her head and touched it carefully. It's sweet, she said after tasting it. Her eyes widened. I've never had something so gentle. Aiden nodded. There's a lot we humans take for granted. She looked down. Your world is kind. You are kind. But I am not just a guest here. I am a danger. Aiden shook his head. You didn't ask for this. None of this is your fault. She looked at him with eyes full of sorrow and fire. But I am the last Nerexian female untouched by mutation, and the cure lives in you. Aiden stayed silent. Then she said the one sentence that changed everything. I will do what must be done. For my people. I will bond with you. Silence fell in the room. Aiden stared at her. But then he slowly replied, I don't want you to do it just to survive. You should never be forced. Leora looked confused. Forced? Yes, Aiden said, standing. You're not a lab test, you're a person. You don't even know me yet. She blinked. You brought me food. You watched me. You didn't run. You listened when no one else did. I feel safe near you. That night, Leora asked him a question. Why are you alone, Dr. Aiden? He looked at her, surprised. No one had asked that in years. My parents died in a space accident, he said softly. And I lost someone I cared about a long time ago. Since then, I've just worked. I thought science could fill the silence. But it doesn't. Leora reached out and touched the glass again. Your sadness is like mine, she whispered. But maybe two broken stars can shine brighter together. The next morning, the AI gave them the final report. Genetic fusion highly compatible. Leora's condition may stabilize completely after bonding. Emotional acceptance detected. Aiden looked at her. She gave a small, brave nod. But he still said, only if you want this. Leora stepped forward and spoke in her language, a soft chant of trust, meaning, let our spirits walk together. The AI translated, consent given. Later, that day they prepared for the ritual. It was not just physical, it was emotional, spiritual. a sacred exchange of life energy. But before the process began, Aiden did something no human scientist would have done. He gave her a necklace made of a small earth stone and said, "This means peace where I come from. I give it to you, not as a scientist, but as a friend." She smiled, eyes shimmering. "Then let this be a union, not of fear, but of choice." The stars outside the station looked calm, but inside the private recovery room, Aiden stood frozen. Not because of fear, but because the alien girl had done something no one expected. She laughed, a soft, glowing laugh. Leora was laughing in her sleep. The monitors around her beeped calmly. Her vitals had stabilized overnight. The bonding had started. But something strange was happening. The AI spoke quietly. Unusual neural activity, emotional waves, deep contentment. Aiden leaned closer to her bedside. "Is she dreaming?" "Yes," said the AI. And for the first time since her arrival, her brain shows happiness. When Leora woke, her eyes didn't glow with fear. She smiled gently and looked around. "Where am I?" she asked. Aiden replied, "In the safe zone of Earth's orbital station. You've been resting." She sat up slowly. Her skin shimmered with soft light, but she didn't feel weak anymore. Something inside her had changed. She touched her chest. "The pain, it's gone." Aiden handed her a cup of warm herbal water. She accepted it with both hands, then looked at him deeply. "I thought I would feel shame," she said softly, "for what we did, for why we did it." Aiden sat beside the bed. "Do you?" She paused, then shook her head. "No, I feel peace. Like I found something I lost a long time ago." They walked together in the artificial garden dome. It was the first time she had walked without guards, walls, or fear. Plants from Earth and alien worlds grew side by side, green and gold leaves glowing under artificial sunlight. She touched a white flower and smiled. "My people called this the sorrow leaf. We believed only the dying could see its bloom." "Well," Aiden said gently, "you're not dying anymore." They sat near a small fountain, the sound of water soothing the silence. Leora looked at him. "Back home I was a healer. I used to sing songs that calmed pain. But once the virus came, my songs stopped working. I was treated like a vessel, just a host." Aiden listened closely. "My father," she continued, "told me I had one purpose left, to give birth to the cure. I was locked away, prepared, trained like a tool." Aiden's jaw clenched. "That's not a life, that's a prison." She turned to him. "But here, you ask me what I want. You let me speak. That is more healing than any chant." Later, as they walked under the simulated moonlight, Leora suddenly froze. Her body began glowing again, but not from sickness. Her hands lit with patterns, symbols from her people, flickering across her arms like memories returning. I remember," she gasped. "I remember the sacred texts, the old rituals. Our ancestors spoke of a joining, a sacred union between star races, bringing a new future. But it was lost to time." Aiden stepped forward. "And now, it's alive. Again?" She nodded. "It wasn't just biology. It was destiny. We were meant to meet." The next day, news spread quietly across the Galactic Council's secure channels. A hybrid signal had been detected in Leora's body. A signal never seen before. A new immune blueprint. She was becoming something more. But not everyone liked that news. On the observation deck, Aiden and Leora stared into the stars. "If this cure spreads," she said, "I will be seen as impure, tainted." "They'll fear what they don't understand," Aiden replied. "But I'm not afraid anymore," she said. "Because I'm not just a host. I'm me." He looked at her, pride in his eyes. "Yes, you are." Just as they turned to leave, a harsh voice echoed through the comms. "By order of the Galactic Medical Council, Patient Leora is to be taken into full custody for further experimentation. The lights turned red. Security drones entered the hall. Aiden stepped in front of her without thinking. Over my dead body. The stars outside the station looked calm, but inside the private recovery room, Aiden stood frozen. Not because of fear, but because the alien girl had done something no one expected. She laughed, a soft, glowing laugh. Leora was laughing in her sleep. The monitors around her beeped calmly. Her vitals had stabilized overnight. The bonding had started. But something strange was happening. The AI spoke quietly. Unusual neural activity, emotional waves, deep contentment. Aiden leaned closer to her bedside. Is she dreaming? Yes, said the AI. And for the first time since her arrival, her brain shows happiness. When Leora woke, her eyes didn't glow with fear. She smiled gently and looked around. Where am I? She asked. Aiden replied. In the safe zone of Earth's orbital station. You've been resting. She sat up slowly. Her skin shimmered with soft light, but she didn't feel weak anymore. Something inside her had changed. She touched her chest. The pain, it's gone. Aiden handed her a cup of warm herbal water. She accepted it with both hands, then looked at him deeply. I thought I would feel shame, she said softly, for what we did, for why we did it. Aiden sat beside the bed. Do you? She paused, then shook her head. No, I feel peace. Like I found something I lost a long time ago. They walked together in the artificial garden dome. It was the first time she had walked without guards, walls, or fear. Plants from Earth and alien worlds grew side by side, green and gold leaves glowing under artificial sunlight. She touched a white flower and smiled. My people called this the sorrow leaf. We believed only the dying could see its bloom. Well, Aiden said gently, you're not dying anymore. They sat near a small fountain, the sound of water soothing the silence. Leora looked at him. Back home I was a healer. I used to sing songs that calmed pain. But once the virus came, my songs stopped working. I was treated like a vessel, just a host. Aiden listened closely. My father, she continued, told me I had one purpose left, to give birth to the cure. I was locked away, prepared, trained like a tool. Aiden's jaw clenched. That's not a life, that's a prison. She turned to him. But here, you ask me what I want. You let me speak. That is more healing than any chant. Later, as they walked under the simulated moonlight, Leora suddenly froze. Her body began glowing again, but not from sickness. Her hands lit with patterns, symbols from her people, flickering across her arms like memories returning. I remember, she gasped. I remember the sacred texts, the old rituals. Our ancestors spoke of a joining, a sacred union between star races, bringing a new future. But it was lost to time. Aiden stepped forward. And now, it's alive. Again? She nodded. It wasn't just biology. It was destiny. We were meant to meet. The next day, news spread quietly across the Galactic Council's secure channels. A hybrid signal had been detected in Leora's body. A signal never seen before. A new immune blueprint. She was becoming something more. But not everyone liked that news. On the observation deck, Aiden and Leora stared into the stars. If this cure spreads, she said, I will be seen as impure, tainted. They'll fear what they don't understand, Aiden replied. But I'm not afraid anymore, she said. Because I'm not just a host. I'm me. He looked at her, pride in his eyes. Yes, you are. Just as they turned to leave, a harsh voice echoed through the comms. By order of the Galactic Medical Council, patient Leora is to be taken into full custody for further experimentation. The lights turned red. Security drones entered the hall. Aiden stepped in front of her without thinking. Over my dead body, a thin crack formed on the glass of the habitat dome. And Leora didn't flinch. She stood tall, her body glowing gold and her eyes burning like twin stars. The rogue ship outside had launched a sonic pulse, but instead of collapsing, she absorbed. Aiden stood behind her, shocked. That should have knocked us out cold. The AI whispered. It didn't, because she's not fully Nerexian anymore. She's evolving. Outside figures in dark armor stepped off the rogue ship. They were tall, wearing black helmets with the Nerexian blood symbol scratched in red. Pureborn, a rebel cult that hated hybrids. One of them shouted through a speaker, "Give us the girl, she carries corruption in her blood." Leora stepped forward and replied calmly, "This corruption is life. It saved me, and soon it may save others too." Aiden whispered, "They won't let you speak again. They're here to silence you." Leora's glowing hand clenched into a fist. "Then they'll learn. I don't need to be silent anymore." Suddenly, her body lit up. The golden lines across her arms spread to her back, shoulders, and chest. The mutation had reached its final stage. But it wasn't violent. It was radiant. She began to hover again. Not from the ritual this time, but from power. Her voice echoed as she said, "I am the bridge between two worlds. I am not weak." And then, the dome shattered. Aiden pulled Leora down just as shards flew in all directions. The security field kicked in, sealing the breach. Alarms rang across the station. The pureborn soldiers rushed in. But Leora wasn't scared. She stood up, calm, steady, and raised her hands. Without touching them, she sent a pulse of energy that froze all the soldiers in place. They dropped their weapons and fell to their knees, groaning in pain. Aiden stared. "That wasn't just defense. You commanded them." The AI confirmed. She has achieved post-genetic synthesis. Her cells now contain a hybrid sequence with adaptive energy output. "She's a weapon," Aiden whispered. "No," said Leora, breathing hard. "I'm a guardian, but the strain was too much." Leora suddenly collapsed, her body twitching. Her skin flickered between violet, gold, and silver. Aiden caught her in his arms. Hey, stay with me." She looked up, eyes blurry. "I can feel everything changing inside. It's too fast." Aiden ran to the med chamber, placing her on the scanner bed. The AI quickly scanned her. Her transformation is unstable. The energy bond was perfect, but her body needs more time. She needs rest. And care. Aiden clenched his jaw. "What do I do?" "Give her your voice, talk to her. Help her remember who she is." He sat by her, holding her hand tightly. Her skin was cold and hot at the same time, shifting. "Leora," he said softly, "you are not alone. You are not a mistake. You're the most amazing being I've ever met." Her fingers moved slightly. "You gave me purpose. You made me feel again. You turned this station of metal into a home." A soft breath escaped her lips. "Aiden." He leaned forward. "I'm here." Her glow softened. Her heartbeat stabilized. The AI's voice returned. "Vital signs returning to stable condition. Mutation is complete. She is reborn." Leora slowly sat up, her hair floating slightly as if underwater. "I saw something," she said quietly. "A vision. A future. Our child. Speaking to both human and alien crowds. A world where no one is pure or tainted, only alive." Aiden blinked. "Our child?" She smiled. "Yes. The bond was stronger than we expected." The pureborn soldiers were captured by galactic peace forces who arrived just in time, but the news had already spread across the galaxy. First successful hybrid confirmed, virus immunity confirmed, new life form detected, pregnant hybrid carrier, protected by human. Some cheered, some feared, some plotted. Later that night, Aiden sat beside Leora as she gazed at the stars through the restored dome. She placed his hand gently on her stomach. "There's life in here," she said softly. "Because of you." He smiled, brushing a strand of her hair aside. No, because of us. Across the galaxy, a single message echoed across every major network. Hybrid confirmed. First birth expected. Virus immunity achieved through human bonding. On some planets, crowds danced in celebration. On others, governments went silent. But in the high chambers of the Galactic Council, old voices were boiling with fear. Fear of change, fear of the unknown, fear of a future that had already begun. In a tall white tower floating above the ocean planet Zephyra, the council gathered. Members from 13 species, cloaked in tradition, sat in a perfect circle. At the center, a hologram of Leora flickered, her new form glowing, her eyes confident. She is no longer pure Nerexian, one elder growled. She is something else, something dangerous. She carries human blood, another hissed. The blood of Earth, the wild ones. Counselor Draven stood up. She carries hope. Her body holds immunity to the most deadly disease in 1,000 cycles. A new voice cut through the chamber. But at what cost? Back on the orbital station, Aiden stood by the comm screen, arms crossed, jaw tight. Leora sat beside him, calmer than he had ever seen her. She looked regal. She spoke into the camera with strength. I did not choose to become infected, but I chose to live. I chose to bond with someone who saw me as a person, not a project. And now, life grows within me, a new life, a better one. The message spread like wildfire. Across colonies, infected patients begged for the hybrid cure. Others burned human flags, calling it blood betrayal. The galaxy was splitting. Aiden paced nervously. They won't stop, Leora. You're shaking. Their foundation. They want things to stay simple. You're proof that simple is over. She placed her hand over his heart. Then we show them something even more powerful. What? That I am not just a survivor. I am a mother, a leader, a voice. Soon after, the council summoned both of them to the Hall of Origin, an ancient space station where only the most important hearings were held. Leora walked through the long halls wearing a flowing dress of Nerexian and Earth design, while Aiden wore his Earth uniform with a new badge, Defender of Cross-Species Unity. The chamber was filled with thousands. Broadcasts played live. Billions were watching. A robotic voice announced, "Let the speaker of the hybrid stand." Leora stepped forward. Every step echoed. Every heartbeat matched the rhythm of history. She began, not with data, but with memory. "Was born to sing peace," she said. "But war took my sisters, disease took my people, and fear nearly took me." She turned and looked at Aiden. "But then I was seen, not as a sample, but as someone worth saving. Together," she said louder now, "we created life, a bond of healing, a child who holds no flag, no race, just the future." Half the room clapped. Half sat frozen. Then came the harshest voice, Counselor Tsar, a high-ranking species elder who believed in bloodline purity. "You speak of unity, but your existence is proof of chaos," he shouted. "You let a human alter your sacred form." Aiden stepped forward, calm but firm. No one altered her. She evolved, by choice, by heart. Tsar snapped. "And if this evolution spreads? What if every species mixes? No more purity, no more order." Leora's voice was quiet but fierce. "Then maybe that's exactly what this galaxy needs." The council chamber exploded with noise. Some shouted, some cheered. In the middle of the chaos, a message arrived. A colony ship on the edge of Nerexian space had just used the hybrid serum and cured over 1,000 lives. Silence returned. No one could argue now. The cure worked. Later that night, in their private chamber aboard the council station, Leora sat quietly, looking at the stars. Aiden brought her warm tea and kissed her forehead. "You were incredible," he whispered. "I was scared," she admitted. "But your hand in mine gave me strength." He sat beside her. "What now?" She touched her stomach and smiled. "Now we wait, and protect what we've started." Outside their chamber, unknown to them, A dark ship drifted in silence. Its markings blacked out, its presence unnoticed. Inside, a shadowed figure whispered to his crew, "The child must not be born." It began with a power outage, not across the station, not across the system, but across every screen in the galaxy. News feeds, council cameras, planetary alerts, all blacked out. Then a single message appeared. "The child is an abomination. It must not be born. Unknown. Transmission location encrypted." In the private quarters of the Galactic Council station, Liora jolted awake. Her hand instinctively moved to her stomach. The baby inside her kicked, once. Strong. Aiden leapt to her side. "Liora?" She nodded, breath shaky. "He's afraid. He senses it too." Just then, a soft explosion rocked the outer docking. "Bay." The emergency lights turned red. The AI's voice came through, shaken. "Unregistered ship has breached lower entrance. Elite assassins on board. Estimated time to contact, 4 minutes. Aiden grabbed the pulse shield from the wall. "They're here for you. For him." Liora stood up slowly, holding her center. "Then they'll have to face a mother who would die for her child." The AI added, "Escape pod ready on level 3. It can cloak. It's your only chance." "No," Aiden said firmly. "We're done running." They ran through the long corridor, alarms screaming. Behind them, the walls echoed with robotic footsteps. Not soldiers, biohunters grown in illegal labs. Made for one job, to erase what wasn't allowed to exist. The pair reached the pod hangar just as the first hunter appeared. It looked almost human, but with glowing red eyes and silver skin. It pointed a plasma blade at Liora. "You were never meant to be." Liora didn't answer. She raised her hand and unleashed a blinding golden pulse. The hunter screamed and flew backwards, slamming into a wall. More came. Aiden covered her with a plasma shield while guiding her into the pod. "Will, go to Haven Moon. They won't find us there." Liora suddenly stopped. "No. If we run, others will keep dying. We have to finish this here." She stepped out of the pod and faced the hunters alone. Her body began to glow. Not just gold, but silver, blue, and deep violet. The power of 2 bloodlines surged through her. Her hands created a barrier of light around the room. Aiden stepped behind her, voice steady. "Let's show them what hybrid really means." With one deep breath, Liora sang. It wasn't loud. It wasn't angry. It was the song of her people, long forgotten. A healer's melody now filled with human warmth. The hunters paused. The walls trembled. And in every system where fear once lived, people felt something new. Hope. Suddenly, the doors burst open, not with enemies, but reinforcements. Dozens of ships from allied species arrived, answering a call that wasn't sent with word, but emotion. The galaxy had chosen sides, and for the first time, it chose life over fear. Hours later, in the High Council Hall, the attackers were captured. Their ship traced back to extremist factions who had rejected science and peace. The Council issued a statement. "No longer will fear guide our future. Today we welcome the first hybrid as a citizen of every world." Months passed. On a quiet green planet called Haven Moon, a crowd gathered under a sky with 3 suns. A small child with glowing eyes, one gold, one brown, took his first steps into the world. He was named Elion, meaning born of 2 stars. Beside him stood Liora, strong and proud. Beside her, Aiden, holding both their hands. The galaxy watched, and for once it didn't fear. In a distant room on an unknown station, the last surviving member of the Pureborn cult watched the footage. His hands trembled as he whispered, "We tried to stop it, but he walks now." Behind him, an old book burned. The title read, "The Purity Doctrine." It turned to ash. Humanity did more than survive. It changed the stars forever.